allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show all members are present. We have a public speaking policy. We have a sign-up sheet back here on this table. If you want to speak at the end of the meeting, please sign up. We allow about 3 minutes per person, and we'll go with that. Next up is a consent agenda. Already reviewed?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Next up, do we have any new hires in here? None. Okay. First up is Becky Linehan, Finance and Tax Officer, Auditor's Office. Public hearing on amendment to current county budget for fiscal year 25-26 and appropriate funds.
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Will you do a roll call, Mary Ann?
Yes. Chairman Shea,
Yes.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Yes.
Supervisor Jorgensen.
Yes.
Okay. Becky? Speak to it a little bit.
This is an amendment to our FY 25-26 budget in the amount of $16 million. It's for upgrading and adding in the hardware and software for the E911 Motorola project.
Okay.
Move. Oh, wait a minute.
No, we gotta have, does anybody want to speak in favor? Does anyone speak against? Going once, going twice? Okay, now, Tim,
Yeah, we need to close first.
that's what I'm saying.
I'll close it.
Second.
Will you do a roll call, Mary Ann?
Yes. Chairman Shea,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
I'm
No,
sorry,
I'll
who
move.
was the
Approve.
second on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Now I'll move and authorize the board to sign resolution 09-2026.
I'll second that.
Will you do a roll call, please?
Chairman Shea,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. And next,
I just said, thanks, Becky.
next up is Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Development. Public hearing and first consideration of ordinance number 2026-01, parentheses, ZTA 2025-01, parentheses, an ordinance to amend Pot County, Iowa zoning ordinance, chapter 8, by adding battery energy storage systems and setting a date for second consideration. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion to open public hearing.
Okay.
Mary Ann?
Chairman Shea,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman, Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones.
Okay, we're open on the public hearing. Matt?
So the Planning and Zoning Commission met and reviewed these proposed additional ordinance amendments and recommended approval to the Board of Supervisors for them. And this will help add in siting criteria for projects that come to us looking to do battery energy storage systems. Those projects like that usually get paired with what would, like our Walnut wind farm that's out there. Mid-American Energy can come in and say, hey, we decided to add a battery energy storage unit to it. The piece of this that so the big beautiful bill rolled back several tax incentives for solar projects, for wind projects. It left battery projects available for tax credits. So inquiries have been picking up on what it would be to site one of these. It would be a conditional use in our A2, A3, R1, C1, C2, C3, I1, and I2 zoning districts. As you look through the proposed changes in here, it is modeled after our solar ordinance. Kind of took what Baird Home put together for us for our solar ordinance. We looked out across the state to find out what other counties had, battery energy solar or battery energy storage system ordinances in there. We changed our NFPA requirements in theirs to an NFP 855 requirements. They also have additional pieces for setbacks and buffers that these projects would have to follow. We went with a little bit of a stronger language on these because they are so unique in what it is with our fire safety compliance plans. And that would be section E, fire safety compliance plan. The applicant shall document and describe how the fire safety system and its associated controls will function and be maintained to the manufacturer's specifications as intended. Number one is that the applicant is responsible for ensuring that the firefighters of the designated area are site-specifically trained and equipped in accordance with the current NFPA. So we're not putting that on the volunteer fire departments to say, you know, now you have a battery storage system in your area, you need to be equipped. You know, they would have to go out and try to find money to be equipped for that. The developer of these projects is going to have to equip those individuals to be able to come out there and be safe on their site. The applicant will also have one meeting annually or as needed with local fire departments, the county sheriff department, county emergency management to go over updated related to the emergency situations, preparedness and procedures, and any changes to their operations, maintenance manual, or emergency operations. We go on to say that emergency operations plan, a copy of the approved emergency operations plan shall be given to the system owner, the fire departments, Potawatomi County Sheriff's Office, and County Emergency Management. A copy shall also be placed in an approved location on site to be accessible to the facility personnel, fire code officials, and emergency responders. So that will be the most firm language that we have in different code sections as regard to what a developer is would be responsible for helping out our emergency services in their areas.
Are these lead acid batteries?
I couldn't tell you. Sure that there's a lithium battery component to that. I would
Okay.
doubt that it would be much lead acid base.
Matt, you don't want to use water to put out these kinds of fires. I'm just assuming that there's some kind of a foaming agent or something.
That would be correct, yep.
And so,
I believe in a lot of these fires, it's more you're kind of, and I'm not a fireman by any means, but I would just see what I've seen on the news when you see lithium batteries go up, it's kind of a stand back and maintain the area keep it from spreading.
So Matt, I watched the video from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting that was held on December 15th, and I appreciate the work that that commission does and all of the work that you put into putting this ordinance together. When did you want to set the date for the second consideration?
Next Tuesday at 10 a.m. if we can. Are we having a meeting next Tuesday? Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, public hearing. Has anybody got anything for this ordinance? Anybody got anything against it? Talkative bunch, aren't we?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Susan.
I'll second.
We can do a roll call, please.
Yes. Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next up is Becky Linehan.
Wait a minute. I have some
Oh,
questions too I'd like to ask Matt.
oh,
Matt, is this battery storage gonna be underground?
No, they're above ground facilities.
What do we do if there's an explosion? What are the setback requirements on this?
The setback requirements on it are set out in section 2C, which is the best equipment. It's battery or energy storage system equipment, including all accessory structures, shall be set back a minimum of 500 feet from all property lines, road right-of-way lines, and comply with any NFPA 855 requirements to setbacks and buffers, whichever is greater.
Why aren't we doing that, those setbacks by dwelling? Or distance from a dwelling?
We had moved into going from dwellings to property lines to keep them pushed back, because if it's a dwelling, it's going to be further back from their own property line, so you're actually giving them additional setback area.
Well, it depends on how close the home or dwelling is built to the property line, right?
Right, and so if you could imagine, if you were siting one of these next to a 40-acre chunk of ground, and that person who owned the 40-acre chunk of ground had a house that was 1,600 feet from their side property line, and we were to say that it had to be 1,800 feet from a dwelling, then you're only looking at 300 feet from property line on there. Versus ours, this current, the way it's set up, is they're gonna be 500 feet from their property line into a road right away.
Is there a plan for a battery storage facility in Potawatomi County?
I don't know of a solid plan for one. I do know that there was a request made for one, but nothing has been submitted for permits.
How do those battery storage systems get charged, Matt?
They usually get charged off of whether it be a solar project or a wind project in the area. Would go charge that and then send it to the main grid.
Do we take the energy from wind turbines and then store it in the above ground
In a battery unit.
instead of sending it across transmission lines?
Mhm.
Okay. Do you think our fire ordinance is strong enough to make sure that if one of these were able to come in, that our staff will be trained enough to handle it?
I do.
What about the fire suppression system? Who's gonna provide that?
The developer provides the.
Does that say that in here?
Yes, and they have to maintain it in accordance with the manufacturer specification.
Well, are you comfortable with the decommissioning plan, Matt? Taking everything 6 feet down?
I am, it matches what we have throughout our other portions of our ordinance.
And it requires the removal of any contaminated soil?
If there were to be contaminated soil, it'd be removed.
Okay, and you don't know what kind of batteries?
Correct.
Okay.
Man, I'm just asking, you know, I mean, if you talk about batteries, of course, there's a charging process, and then, you know, what are those batteries being used for? Because then you drain the energy. I'm just guessing it's kind of like a temporary thing to power whatever they're powering, but is there a capacity that's limited on the capacity of how many batteries can you put together, amperage? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I'm sure it is based on that. I mean, each battery would have a capacity to it. And so they would kind of plan that out with their needs of what they're looking at doing. If they want to, if you have a wind energy project or a solar project, then it's been running and they know where the ebb and flows of it come from. They'll use this style of a system to try to even that grid out.
I'm a little bit familiar with storage, battery storage. For instance, you know, you have extinguishers have to be identified as specifically for that kind of fire, a battery fire, for instance. You don't want to just use any extinguisher. So they have to be identified, and that's gonna be a requirement too, I'm guessing, correct? Thank you.
Will these be acres,
The sites, they would be, yeah, they would be pretty large sites.
multiple acres?
Mhm.
And they would file a commercial building permit.
Correct. Commercial building permit, everything engineered out.
You think we're ready for this, Matt? You think there's a need for this, Matt?
I would say, yes, I would say that there is a need for it, just based on the inquiries and some of the ways that we've been approached on it. And I would rather be here submitting something to you from us versus a developer.
Now, this doesn't have anything to do with vehicles or battery power. They plug them in at night, that kind of thing. That doesn't involve these situations, correct?
This doesn't have anything to do with that. This would be a large industrial complex site that has those things put on there. And it does have, I mean, we do address the landscape buffers, the soil erosion sediment controls, endangered species and wetlands, waste from the site, stormwater. All of the pieces, much like we have in our solar ordinance. Road damage and repair.
Matt, is there other counties right now in Iowa that have this?
There are, yes, there are several counties that already have a battery
Looked at
storage.
their ordinances and
Correct, and several others even today on the COZO listserv, which is the county zoning officials listserv across the state. They were emailing out more information for other counties. Because like I said, with the big beautiful bill, not renewing solar, not renewing wind, but leaving battery, you know, the state of Iowa, all, not just our county, but all across, we've seen an uptick in people wanting to construct these.
any other questions?
I did a little bit of research on it, Matt. I just don't think that we're ready to go with this ordinance. You know, the primary hazard, it says that, can be a short circuit with rapid uncontrolled heating, potentially leading to explosions and fires. I don't think we've addressed that. I don't know if our setback is far enough. I would like to see the board, just continue this until I can get a couple more questions answered. Find some more information on the actual explosions that happened. They have happened. There's technical failures that don't get fully satisfied with monitoring management tools. I don't know.
Well, I got a question. Would it behoove us to put a moratorium on these until we get our ordinance set?
There's nothing in the
It's just, I don't know that we're not in the period of any kind of, you know, we don't have an impending project where I'd say you need to do a moratorium. On the setback piece of it, I can tell you that we're probably 4 to 5 times the setback of what any of the other counties were that I pulled up. And I did that because our solar setback was a larger setback. And so the rest of them, they were anywhere from 50 to 100 feet from their property lines on there. We're at 500. So
I have a question. This is a generic template, correct? So every time there's a project that comes due, we would look at that specifically, all the different pieces of that project.
correct.
Okay. I think it's good that we're getting ahead of things, and I appreciate what you did.
I know a farmer out in Trainer, who has solar panels on his hog barn, roof of his hog barn. He uses battery storage, to run his climate control for his hog barn. And if, you know, if he doesn't have enough, he goes back to, regular power. But he said it certainly saves him a lot of money. I don't know how many farmers would be looking to do something along these lines. But that's one instance that, I say that, you know, I can say that it might possibly be a lot of farmers interested in this kind of a setup, battery storage for that.
But this addresses large industrial projects, correct?
Right, we don't have any jurisdiction over farmers.
Okay.
The explosions, they release toxic gas. How far can the gas spread? The 500-foot setback, far enough? So the toxic gases don't reach a resident?
I think part of what you're talking about in there and the questions that you may have would be addressed in their fire safety and emergency operations plans that would have to be submitted to us. So if they came to us and it's much like when the cell towers come in and the cell towers are telling us that their fall radius is, this distance, from where it's at. I mean, we take those things into consideration. Those things go into consideration when when their setbacks are put into place. So if the company came to us and they had an explosion radius of whatever the case may be, even the company is going to move their facility to that point to say that they're going to mitigate as much risk as they can on themselves.
Well, if our setback's 500 feet and tests prove that toxic gases can go 1,000, and we set this in place, their only legal requirement is to be 500 feet away.
But it is a conditional use, and that conditional use could review that and say, you're saying they're gonna release toxic gases 1,000 feet, well, then we're moving, and the conditional use is criteria to that, we're moving you 1,000 feet.
Would we look at amending our ordinance at that point?
No, because it'd be a condition on them for their conditional use permit.
Well, the name of the game is, Matt, I believe that if we have an ordinance and somebody provides or applies for a permit, and the ordinance says 500 feet away, and we tell them, well, we'll let you build it, but now you gotta be 1,000 feet away. Who's gonna win in a court case with that?
That would have been based on information they gave us. We would be able to show that site specifically to the information you gave us in the conditional use process, we're able to justify why we're putting that condition on you.
There's a flip side of this too. If we have this framework in place, don't we look better to an incoming company that says they already have this established and I can just jump in there?
Correct.
I mean, from a business standpoint.
Yeah, it saves them time and money on projects.
So it behooves us to have this in place.
I believe it's a good thing for us, yes.
Batteries, technology is changing all the time. You have lead acid, you have lithium batteries. I mean, is there a difference as far as the danger those types of batteries pose? Have you looked into that? That is an issue.
I couldn't tell you. I really haven't, yeah.
I think the lithium batteries are dry, are they not?
I'm not a battery expert, so it's getting a little technical for me.
I've got
on
a couple
that.
on motorcycles and they're dry.
We have students in the back of the room. Does anybody have any expertise?
They know more than us. Okay, any more questions?
Tim brings up some valid points, but I think we can go ahead and I'll make a motion to approve for consideration of the ordinance 2026 and set the second reading for January 20th, 2026.
Second motion.
Thank you, Keith. A motion and a second to approve the new ordinance. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call. I'm sorry.
Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Nay.
Okay, motion carried. If I
Thank you.
need more information, please bring it forth next time.
Will do.
Thanks, Matt. Next up, Becky Lenahan, Finance and Tax Officer, Auditor's Office, Discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board to sign resolution number 10, 2026 entitled Resolutions for Transfer from Reimbursable MHDS Direct Expense Fund to MHDS Region Fund. Becky?
Yes, that's basically from Fund 9 that we used to pay payroll out of into 4155, which is Suzanne's region, MHDS region fund. I have worked with her to get the balance, that there is a balance in Fund 9, so of 1.1, so that this will not put it in the negative or anything like that. And I do believe I sent you all an email last week explaining this.
These are all state funds, right, Becky?
Yes.
I'll move that for you.
I second that.
Who did that?
Supervisor Wickman and Jorgensen.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Becky, very much. I know she put a lot of work on that.
Becky, did we send all the rest of those funds back from at the end of the year?
Suzanne's been working on that. I think she has till the 15th to get the rest of it all.
Okay, which will be
back and forth
Thursday, I
out.
believe, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there much left?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Becky.
Mhm.
Next up. Is it Lyle?
Yes.
There you are. Lyle Nichols from Trainer. Iowa Leadership Academy, presentation on Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy and discussion under decision on funding for Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy. Hi, Lyle.
Sorry, would you like us to go to the front room? Or
You know, you can just stand up where you're at.
So, I'm Lyle Nichols. I am a teacher at Trainer Middle School. These kids are all part of, Southwest Iowa Leadership Academy. They're all from Trainer. That's our branch. There are about, I think, 7 schools, and every year, we have different kids that come out to the leadership camp, and they learn more about leadership styles and themselves. So I'll introduce our students that we have. We have Talon Bolter over there, Boston Curtis.
Well, wait, so, will you tell us what school they're from?
They're all from Trainer.
Oh, they're all from
Yeah,
Trainer.
we're all from Trainer. This is
Okay.
the chapter. There's 6 other schools. So again, that's Talon Walford. We have Boston Curtis, Eugene Stupfeld, Emerson Caruso, Kendall Sortenbecker, and then Ireland Day. So
Welcome.
each of these guys will go ahead and they'll share what they've learned with leadership. If you have any questions after that, we can certainly answer that. Talon, why don't you go ahead and start?
Hello, my name is Talon, and one of the main things that I learned from leadership was there are many different types of leadership, including a democratic and more authoritarian, and even styles such as one called laissez-faire. And each style has its own place in a leadership role. For example, so laissez-faire would be a good type of leadership to use in a situation where the person in charge or the leader may know less than the people that they're supposed to be leading, in which case they should let the people around them use their knowledge and to help the group. An example of when you should use like the democratic method would be when all people may have a slightly different idea on what they should do, and therefore the best way to resolve it and come to an equal understanding would be to vote on.
Thank you.
My name's Boston, and one of the things that I learned was that leadership has many different personalities, and we sorted those into color groups. And the two that most connected to me were the green group and the gold group. The green group is liking to use logic and reasoning to find leadership and help your peers. And the gold group focuses more on organization for your group.
Hi, I'm Eugene. I've got a bit of a bad voice today, but I'll try and push through. One of you've heard different styles and personalities. I'm going to talk about one of the most important skills that I learned was communication. it's very important for leadership to communicate with their group, but also to understand what they need from their group. And I see that as an important quality for a leader to have, to be able to work with others well. And I just thought that that was one of the most important things that I took away from camp. So.
Hello, my name is Emerson, and kind of going along with what Eugene said, I learned that it's very important to be confident in your own decisions, to make sure that the group knows how to solve the problems that we are facing. And it's one of the most important things that I learned from camp. And hi, my name is Kendall. And I thought that communication was the most important thing. When I came to camp, I didn't know how to communicate properly, and I wasn't able to get things done that I needed to get done. But coming out, I think I'm a lot more confident instructing. And I also think that you have to put certain people together, and kind of going on with Boston, personality is a big thing. And I thought that the blue and orange personalities went good with me. And it's really important finding people who you work good with, and that is how you get like a good leader. I'm Ireland. One of the main things I learned about from leadership camp was that like you need to have a leader. We did a lot of activities like where the leaders had to do things. One of these activities we had to like sort ourselves like from 1 to 8, and you couldn't like move sideways and stuff. And at first we were all just doing it like separately, and no one could like actually do it. But eventually one person took charge, and then that made it so it was possible for us to do it all. But without having a leader, we would not be able to do that. So I think it's very important to like learn how to be a leader. Otherwise, you can't get things done.
Two quick questions. First of all, did you like my joke this morning? Second, the second is, would it be a good idea to start wherever meetings that you folks, you kids have in mind, to start a meeting with a joke? Would that be good? You can raise your hand. You good? Okay, there we go. I'm vindicated.
Okay, I got a question. You got more room in the camp? Because we could sure use some of that stuff you're talking about.
Yeah, we're always taking more out.
Oh, good. I'll sign up.
I have a question. Do you know Mrs. Boggs, that trainer? Yes. You guys have art? Good for you. She's a wonderful teacher, and she's also my daughter.
Got
I'll
questions,
tell her that.
comments?
So the request today is for $5,000 for continued funding.
I'm not for sure. Our
That's
director
what's-
was supposed to be here, but she had an emergency, so.
It is 5,000. It says 25, 26, Susan.
Well, that's probably wrong. It should be
26,
26, 27.
Yeah,
But that's irrelevant.
and that's what we funded them last year too.
But yeah, it's something that we funded for, actually, I can't even tell you how long. I think it's important that we do that.
And it's still just the middle schools in West Pottawatomie County. It doesn't include Riverside or AHSDW yet.
No, it is not yet.
How come that is? Do you know?
I can't say for sure. I do know that Deb Masker has put a lot of work in reaching out to many of the schools. I think it took her a long time to get the Tri-Center involved, but she's worked hard to do that. I haven't communicated with her about why Riverside has not been for HSDW yet, but I imagine something possibly on their end where they are trying to look for maybe an advisor for that group, or trying to find interest among students in that group.
Thank you, Lyle.
Well, I like what you all learned back there. I really do. It's important. And you'll be surprised. One day you may be sitting up here or in Des Moines or Washington DC, and you'll carry that with you. So keep going.
Well, I would like to make a motion to support this.
I'll second the motion.
What did we take that out of last time?
Comes out of gaming.
Take your motion, Joe. Take it out.
You made them, yeah,
Yep.
put it in your motion.
5,000 out of gaming.
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in, everyone. It's
And,
exciting to hear you're learning this stuff.
and our meeting this morning was recorded, so tonight at the dinner table, you can pull it up and you can see yourselves on TV.
Thanks for coming in again. Like that. Okay, next up, Jeannie Howe. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, Coordinator, Lincoln Highway Heritage Byway. Discussion and or decision to contribute $500 towards the development of a statewide Lincoln Highway audio tour app.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Great.
Good.
So I'm sure everyone in this room is aware that the Lincoln Highway was the first transcontinental planned and improved and promoted route from New York City to San Francisco. I told my husband last weekend the San Francisco 49ers could have taken the Lincoln Highway all the way to Philadelphia last weekend had they wanted to.
They'd still be on the way.
We'll take the win instead.
Yeah.
So in Iowa, that means from Clinton all the way over to Council Bluffs, through 13 counties and 43 plus communities, the Lincoln Highway travels. Our travel guide is a thick brochure that I would like to get all on an app. And one thing we've had travelers ask for, especially in the Les Hills area, is something they can download from Google or Apple, so that if they click on a link, it doesn't disappear on them and they know where they are. So the huge benefit for your community, Council Bluffs, I would connect with your economic development group, because you have all the current events and the hotels and everything. The smaller communities, I would probably give links to the restaurants and if they have a Main Street community, that kind of thing. So the cost, I have an existing online app that is not downloadable. I inherited it with the Iowa Valley Scenic Byway. It's the Amana Colonies. So they fund that app every year for $1,500. To get it on the Google Play and the Apple Play, there's an initial fee of $2,000 to flip the switch. And then it's just $600 more every year. So I estimated that, so that is taking care of that first $1,500. So it would be an additional $2,600 in fees to the provider. And then I estimated $2,400 for a student to get all the information in, at a total of $5,000, I could get the app done. Now, if every county were to contribute the $500, then I would be able to do brochures as well. But I put the estimate at 5,000 in hopes of enough counties participating that I can get it done. And it's a one-time ask. Next year for that $600, I'm thinking of looking at banks that overlap into different counties to get the funding that way.
It comes down from Missouri Valley
Yes,
through Honey Creek or Loveland, Honey Creek, Crescent, and down North Broadway and across Broadway, correct?
correct. This morning, I finally got out to Hitchcock Park. There's an overlook that has an original route dug through the Luss. And you can see why it's not that route now.
And that's the first area where they done a realignment. They
Yes.
believe that. That's the first one on the old Lincoln Highway.
For good reason.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
okay.
What is Lincoln Highway most famous for? Just refresh my memory. Was that the, back in the Civil War,
It was established in 1913. So in 1912, Carl Fisher, he was the person who started the Indianapolis 500. And he was a manufacturer of the headlight, the Presto light. He had the idea that he wanted an improved highway from New York to San Francisco in time for a World's Fair. And so he put that out to Ford, and Ford said, no, I think the government should pay for that. So it was a grassroots development. The Lincoln Highway Association was created then in 1913, and they established a route, and they wanted the cities to buy in and to build it. And they were going to donate the rock to build it.
So it originally wasn't paved.
It originally was not paved. Like Iowa, they call it the muck because we have so much mud in our dirt roads. Yeah, and many of
To
them,
do seed miles. where they-
seedling miles, we have,
Seed miles. They'd do 1 mile of paved cement and that'd get people on it and they'd go, we gotta do some more.
and where is that in Iowa?
Well, there was a number of places where they'd done those seed miles and I don't know exactly.
The only one that was officially done before the Lincoln Highway Association stopped the program was in Lynn County, over by Abbey Creek Schoolhouse. And Greene County was almost ready to do it, and they just weren't official. So they had the next paved route. Yeah. And it was Henry Joy's idea to name it after Abraham Lincoln to get people excited and to do it because it's grassroots. So, yeah.
Okay. Really think $500 would help them a lot. And I do see it as part of the tourism deal. I know we get a lot of people out this way for the Lincoln Highway.
And it's difficult to find a grant that will fund all the way across the state. Everybody, just wants to fund their own portion. So that's why I split up. So it's only $500 and we get this great tourism tool.
Tourism in Iowa is big, so I feel $500 isn't that much. We could take it out of gambling. If someone wants to make a motion.
I will make that motion.
Amount of $500 from gaming. I'll second.
Okay.
How many other counties have you got on board?
Story County got on right away. Greene County is putting it in their budget discussions. Iowa County actually funds for the Iowa Valley part. And let's see, you're my third presentation. Boone County has accepted a proposal, but they haven't scheduled me yet. So tomorrow I'll be calling everyone else to get in their schedules.
I don't see, oh, there's Iowa County.
Yeah, the Amana Colonies is the big provider of the original one because that's the big area down there south of Cedar Rapids. And it overlaps with the Lincoln Highway in Belle Plaine and Montour and Tama, Toledo, and the Meskwaki.
Are you an Iowa highway connoisseur or is it?
I'm the coordinator, so there are 14 scenic byways in Iowa. And my nonprofit contracts with the Iowa DOT for my time and travel, but no projects. Any projects I need to go out and get funded, any interpretive signage, I need to go out and get funded. I'm trying to get a sign funded for Logan right now, and I have half of that funded.
I got a motion and a second to approve a $500 funding out of gaming. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Great day to learn things today.
Today, or this year is also Route 66 100
That's right.
anniversary. Yeah.
Yes. And highways, the highway naming is 100 years this year also. Highway 30 and Highway 69, any of the naming. The DOT tries to celebrate whenever they can.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy Steenbach, epidemiologist, public health.
Close enough.
Was it? Good.
Sure.
Thanks, Keith. Discussion and our decision to approve and sign proclamation just designating the month of January 2026 as Radon Action Month. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Iowa has some of the highest levels of radon in the entire country. It's more likely than not that a dwelling will test above the EPA's safe level. Normally that safe level is about 4 PCI a liter. A lot of homes in Iowa are gonna double that, like 8 PCI a liter or more. It's a totally odorless, colorless, tasteless. You have no idea to know that it's there unless you test. And the only safe way to test is going to be a professional test or easy accessible tests that we actually offer in the planning department or at public health. They're $11 cash or check, and anyone can pick them up. They're very easy. It comes with like a prepaid shipping label. So basically you set it out in the lowest living area, and the different tests have different instructions. Most of them you let them set for 2 to 3 days. I believe it's a carbon base that will absorb radon. They get sent to a lab, it gets analyzed, and then they will provide those results back to you. And then the state of Iowa actually maintains a list of licensed mitigators that can help you, because it can be expensive to mitigate it, but it is a leading cause of cancer in non-smokers in Iowa. So it is important that if you are made aware that your dwelling has radon, that you take some actions to mitigate that. And it can affect any dwelling. Doesn't matter, new construction. It's due to uranium breaking down in the soil. And Iowa has high levels of that due to glacial deposits way back when. So unfortunately, we are stuck with radon. So
So
Yeah.
radon is radioactive.
it is radioactive, and you have no way to know that it's there unless you do testing.
Is there
So-
any grants that you provide for people for that, Candy?
We do not currently have any grants, but we do provide all the testing at cost, of course. So we purchase them from a environmental health association, pretty much. It's called Air Check. That's the brand of test that we use. And it's just this little like fold out test pretty much with carbon that assesses it. And it's $11 a piece, and that's what we pay. So we just pretty much want them as accessible as possible. If you go to buy them on Iowa HHS's website, the exact same test is $18. So they're trying to make some money on you, and we're not. So we want it to be accessible for our constituents, because we know that it is a huge problem in Iowa, across the whole country. I don't know if any of you know someone who had lung cancer and didn't smoke, but I have. And there are, of course, other causes to it, but a good suspected cause is the radon levels that are pretty much everywhere. Apartments, new homes, can be in your basement that you hardly go in, but it can seep up through air vents too. So just because you don't live in that area, it finds its way to you. It's a gas, it'll rise. So
Matt, there's some new construction requirements for that, isn't there, in Iowa?
Yes, we're looking at some. Yep.
One of it is plastic and ventilation, correct?
You had to put in the radon mitigation systems right off the bat from there.
Mhm. Okay.
And then Brian, before you jump into the proclamation, we also have a community member here. Lisa, I don't know if you guys remember, she brought a public comment a few months ago, and it prompted us kind of sharing this information previously about the test kits, and wanted to invite her to share some comments as well before you share the proclamation.
Well, I speak to you today as a member of the Iowa Cancer Consortium. I've been a member since 21. So obviously this is something that, as you spoke to, is really known in Iowa. It's known to have Iowa's known to have a higher than average radon levels, and homes in Pottawatomie County are no exception. Radon levels can vary from house to house, even between neighboring homes. Only because radon is colorless and odorless, testing is the only way to know your risk. The good news is that radon exposure is preventable. Testing is simple and affordable, and mitigation systems are highly effective at reducing radon levels and improving indoor air quality. Radon-resistant construction in new homes is another proven strategy to protect families for the long term. And I know the last time I was here, we did talk about that. The radon test kits are available through the health department for $11, making it easier for residents to take this important first step. I would encourage our Board of Supervisors and Public Health Department to make them free to homes that are within poverty income guidelines. I feel we have a high rate of poverty in our town, and that would make it affordable. Well, people who can't afford to pay the $11. The Iowa Cancer Consortium values strong partnerships with local public health agencies, and together they are working to reduce lung cancer risk through education, prevention, and action. As we recognize Radon Action Month, I encourage all residents to test their homes, address elevated radon levels, and support efforts that protect the health of our community.
Thank you, Lisa.
With that, I could look into like, how much I know we buy in bulk, so we could maybe see what a box or so would cost, and, I can come back with a proposal to potentially make them more accessible for maybe people who cannot afford that $11.
One of the things that I think of right off is renters. You know, they could get it tested, but will the landlord do something? Because I believe the west end of Council Bluffs is a high percentage of renters.
Oh, yes. And transient, a lot of transient people who.
How do we get them to move on something? That's something I think of. Susan, would you read this proclamation for us?
I would be happy to. Radon Action Month Proclamation 2026. Whereas radon is a naturally occurring, colorless, odorless, radioactive gas that can accumulate indoors and may threaten the health of Potawatomi County residents and their families. And whereas radon exposure is the leading cause of lung cancer among people who have never smoked, and the second leading cause of lung cancer overall in the United States. And whereas long-term exposure can cause cellular damage in the lungs that may lead to lung cancer. And whereas radon is up to 10 times more likely to cause lung cancer in people who smoke than in those who do not. And whereas Iowa is known to have higher than average radon levels, and any home in Potawatomi County may have elevated radon levels, even if neighboring homes do not, making testing the only way to know a home's radon level. And whereas there are effective ways to prevent exposure and reduce lung cancer risk through testing, mitigation, and radon-resistant construction in new homes. And whereas testing for radon is simple and affordable, and elevated radon levels can be reduced through mitigation systems that help protect families and improve indoor air quality. And whereas local county health departments, including Potawatomi County Public Health, play an essential role in reducing lung cancer risk by promoting radon awareness and encouraging action. And whereas the Iowa Cancer Consortium recognizes and values partnerships with local public health agencies across the state in reducing the burden of lung cancer in Iowa through education, prevention, and action. Now therefore be it resolved that the Potawatomi County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim January 2026 as Radon Action Month in Potawatomi County, and encourages all residents to test their homes for radon, take steps to reduce elevated radon levels, and support efforts that protect the health of our community through prevention and awareness. And I will make the motion that we approve this proclamation.
I'll second that.
Mary Ann, would you do a roll call?
Yes. Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen.
I've had
Motion passes. Thank you.
a test sitting on my kitchen counter for 3 months now, and we will get that set up tonight.
Yep, just throw it in your lowest living area.
Candy, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, of course.
I have a question. Are you aware of any grants might be available?
We'd probably have to look into just like a separate mini grant and make the proposal to improve access to radon testing kits. There's not grants that I was able to locate for the mitigation, and that's really what's gonna get people is, okay, they might find out their home has high levels, but then what do we do about it? Because they can run anywhere from like, depending on the size of the home, it really depends, but it can be like a really, really small living area could be 500, but a large living area or a large home, if it affects the entire home, which oftentimes it does, thousands of dollars. That's where it gets people. But I'll continue to look for them, and if I do see them, we'll share them. That way our citizens know, but right now, there's not really a radon grant.
Thank you, Candy.
Yeah. Candy, you want to get a photo? Sure. Lisa, you want to get up there too?
Is there a color for radon? Do we need to change the color?
Best I could find was blue because blue typically is a color for health-related causes since radon is colorless. There really is not
I don't
a
know,
color.
I've never tested it.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Okay. Andy Wicks, engineer, discussion under decision to approve and authorize board to sign resolution number 11/2026 entitled City of Council Bluffs, Pottawatomie County Right-of-Way and Maintenance Agreement for roadways near corporate limits, January 2026. We are specifically, is this a bunch or just the one on the north side?
So there are 25 different items
Oh.
in this agreement.
Okay.
However, we had an agreement signed
I
in
see.
1995, 2001, and 2010. And going back at it, it looks like Tim signed the 2001 agreement.
Whoa, good at that
Yeah.
one.
Some good history. But each one, the 2010, agreement also had 25 items. So for the most part, we're updating a little bit of language. The main clarifications are on Greenview, Longview Loop, Eastern Hills Drive, Franklin Ave, and Stephen Road. And so it's basically just spelling out the city of Council Bluffs will maintain these joint jurisdiction roads and Pottawatomie County will maintain these other joint jurisdiction roads. The exclusions from this new agreement compared to the 2010 agreement is Joslyn Avenue, and then Embassy Lane and Sunnydale. So Embassy Lane and Sunnydale is a very minor piece, but Joslyn is a big ticket item. And basically, in talking with the Public Works Director from the City of Council Bluffs.
Do we take care of that from the sheriff's office north?
So currently the city takes care of Joslyn Avenue from Big Lake Road all the way to Monument Drive or Monument Road.
Right.
A mile and a half north of there.
Mhm.
So even though it's a seal coat road, and in conversations with the city, they don't have the equipment to maintain seal coat roads. The vast majority of Joslyn is in the county. So in past agreements, the city has maintained that. However, they were very persistent that they did not want to maintain Joslyn Avenue in the future.
Do you feel it's pretty equitable?
I do. They maintain Harry Langdon and Wabash all the way down to Mills County. So I think the vast majority, I do think it's equitable, yes.
So you feel this is a good for us to do this?
I do.
Item number 25 is for 192nd Street from SCL. What is SCL?
That is the South County line. So, and yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So historically, Pottawatomie County has maintained 192nd Street from East South Omaha Bridge Road, several miles all the way into Mills County to Bungie Avenue. But that hasn't been in writing. That was a handshake agreement. And since the City of Council Bluffs has annexed that portion, the South County line, into Mills County, Pottawatomie County has already been maintaining that road. Now we're just spelling it out that we are maintaining into Mills County. So,
Is that road split with the city, is it not, the whole way?
up near East South Omaha Bridge Road, it is fully city, and then it is split partway down. But then there is a portion that is strictly Pottawatomie County's responsibility. And then it picks back up where it's city.
Right. It's goofy because how they annexed.
But you're only going to, you're gonna maintain the gravel road, right?
Correct. And so that is one change compared to the 2010 agreement. The city will maintain 192nd Street, the asphalt surface or the concrete surface. Whereas in the 2010 agreement, the county maintained all of that 192nd. So.
And that only goes, what, a quarter or half mile south of East Omaha, South
Correct.
Bridge Road?
Yeah. It's, yeah, quarter mile.
What number is Jocelyn?
Jocelyn's not on the 2026 agreement. On the 2010 agreement, it was number 10.
So we're changing that, right?
We are, sorry, Jocelyn is. Find it. Correct. We are omitting Jocelyn completely from this agreement because the county will maintain the county portion of Jocelyn and the city will maintain the city portion of Jocelyn. So we can't pull up
Okay.
a map, can we? No,
The city portion goes up to the old city dump, correct?
not.
It's not quite up to the Beano's Crossing or whatever they call that,
Correct. It's,
Monument Road.
it's, I think 1,600 feet or 2,600 feet, north of Big Lake Road
Okay,
is in the city limits. And so the city will continue.
about a
to
half
maintain that.
mile.
Correct. So, we're in talks with the city to put a turnaround in for snowplows. But correct, the city would maintain the city's portion of Joslin and the county would maintain the county's portion of Joslin.
Because at one point that was seal coated clear up to Monument Road.
And the pavement has deteriorated. But yes,
Seal,
it is seal coated.
Not
Yes.
big, but
Yes, seal coated.
the seal coating is still considered a
Aggregates.
gravel road, correct?
Yes.
But then I think I misunderstood you, Andy. Did you say that the city doesn't have any way to handle that?
They did, that is what they said, yes. And so I'm assuming they will upgrade Joslin to a hard surface road.
Oh,
Whether it's
so
through an
we're not
asphalt.
gonna take over any of the repair on that
Correct, correct.
because we can do it. We could repair it.
We can
Seal
repair
coat.
our own, yes.
Steve, do
Okay.
you know anything of that?
No, I just know that there was an agreement in the discussion part. I didn't
Any
know
plans to
exactly.
update it?
I don't know at this time. That'd be with Public Works.
So the Public Works Director was planning on bringing it to city council later this month.
Okay.
The only thing I would caution us on is making sure that, we have the correct name for the mayor. My understanding, she wants to run for election under Jill Shudak, but wants to sign documents under Jill Amante. So
Okay.
Just make sure we get that straight.
We do that.
We need to read this resolution.
No,
Feel like reading it
I
much.
didn't figure you did.
I will make the motion to approve resolution number 11-2026.
Okay,
I'll second that.
would you do a roll call, Marianne? Please.
Yes, Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Motion passed. And you guys passed this last month?
I'm done it yet.
We're gonna
January
bring-
26th.
Oh, okay, I thought I read December, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Andy Wicks, engineer, open proposals for 2026, 27 bridge inspection requests. Andy?
Correct. So I've never done this before, but a little bit of history, and I don't know if that's required or not, but the Iowa Department of Transportation requires each county to inspect every single bridge every 2 years. And we have a little over 300 bridges in the county. And historically, we've partnered with a consultant. We got away from that in 2023 and 2024 and 25. But I'd like to move us back into working with a consultant team to inspect bridges.
That also includes culverts, correct?
Correct.
Is the 300 include those?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yep. So I developed a grading rubric that was submitted in the proposal, and I've selected a combination of technical and maintenance staff to grade that. And so, yeah, do I just?
Yep, you just
Yep.
open them now.
Yep.
The we do need to be able to take a look at those and determine which one qualifies to either be an inspector of our bridges.
Correct.
The price is not a factor right now. It's the qualifications of the person who provided the quote, or not quote, but the work, right?
Correct.
Once you open them, there isn't a lot you can really tell us, except for the fact that you want to go back and evaluate them and make sure that the qualifications meet the specifications of the Iowa Department of Transportation. Sweet, yeah,
Easy, yeah.
rock on.
But you identify the name and the amount.
So, Shimmer. Yeah, just Shimmer. Might be Shimmer Engineering.
It is.
Sherman and Associates. Mary Ann, there will not be a price on.
Yeah, there's no price on these. Should have cheated and opened them. I have to show everybody.
We do.
No, who's that one from?
Shimmer.
Sweet.
One down. Snyder and Associates. Unlabeled.
Is that the name of a new engineering company?
It is HGM and Associates. And then Olson Engineering. So my plan is to meet with the review team tomorrow and proceed with grading them. And then I'd like to come back in front of the board next week and recommend, if we have a qualified firm, I'd like to recommend a firm.
Okay.
And then I can provide those grading results as well at that time.
Andy, when they go out to inspect them, do we send one of our people with?
We do not. That's
Okay.
part of the state requirement is they need to be certified by the state with different bridge certifications specific to Iowa. So we can, but historically we have not sent it.
We're good.
And those RFPs were all received by the auditor's office by the designated deadline.
Correct. Yep. So yeah, they were submitted to the auditor. 10 a.m. Wednesday, Friday.
I did not call for a motion yet.
There's nothing for us to do here.
Okay, it says to
Andy.
open proposals for bridge inspection
Andy,
RFP.
has the county worked with any of these companies? I'm gonna guess.
I believe so.
Okay.
I think, I'm not even aware, I appreciate your willingness to share with the board who you're going to select as the inspector for our bridges. I don't believe by Iowa code that you have to. That's your decision. You're the one with the experience on the engineering side, but I do appreciate you coming back and informing us who your selection was.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Discussion under decision on notification to Douglas County on leaving Orion. Matt and Sam.
I can jump up. So I've got some language. We just had Sam take a look at it as well. You've got to give a 2-year notice if you're going to get out of this contract. And so we have a lot of folks that we have to send notice to. There's a lot of different parties to that agreement. Douglas County, Sarpy County, Washington County, OPPD, I'm not sure all else, but I felt like there was like 14 or 16 letters that we'll have to send out. So I guess what I'm looking for today, if the board's looking to get out of the Orion agreement, then you need to make that motion. Notice has to be given 2 years before January 31st of the next, I guess cycle. So this is our 2-year notice. So I'm asking for you to sign it. I've got a space for Mary Ann to attest. And then we'll need to get that to Jeanette so that we can make the copies and get them sent out to all the various entities. If you want it on your letterhead, I can do that, in which case I'll just email it to Jeanette and you can sign it then, but that one's just generic.
Just a second, I'll get it to you guys.
Is that all this needs to say, Matt?
I think it is. I've looked through section 9.1. It just says that we have to give 2 years written notice of termination to all parties. And then it lists all the parties in section, I think, 22. Yep.
Pam, if by chance that the ISIC system isn't up and running, Orion won't throw us off their system, right?
I would hope not, but I feel like that would be Motorola's problem because they agreed to have this project done in, I think, 18 months. I think the 2-year notice gives us a little buffer. We've got a great working relationship with Orion. I don't see why they would want to do that, but strange things happen.
Do we get a month by month deal if that happens? Do you know? We're not trying to cover, we're just trying to make sure, you know what I mean? That hopefully they're up and running well before that.
Well, I do believe transitioning to the ISIC system at this time is the best course for the county. And I will make the motion to approve.
Sending the notice.
Yes, sending the letter, but not necessarily just to Douglas County. What does the motion need to read, Matt? As far as parties to the Orion agreement?
Sure.
Is that what it's gonna say, Sue?
That's what it's gonna say.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion. I need a second.
Tim seconded.
Oh, I did that. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? I'll sign this right now for you.
You can put it on our letterhead, Brian.
Oh,
Once Mary Ann's had a chance to sign it, I'll take it back to Jeanette and she can start getting a lot of envelopes together.
okay.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, man.
Do you have the list of those
I do.
Thanks, Sam.
with addresses?
Yep.
You're awesome, man.
And fax numbers as well.
Thanks for getting that done. Next up, Lee Voss, Treasurer, discussion and or decision to approve Potawatomi County's Treasurer's semi-annual report for July 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025.
Sure. If you can read it. It's very small and we can never make it larger, so. I'm sorry. If you have any questions, sure, let me know. I might not know the answer, but I'll figure it out. You're stronger. You gotta help us.
Is it your recommendation, Lee, to,
Agree.
your semi-annual report?
It's my strong recommendation.
I'll do that for you,
Because
Lee.
nothing ever is wrong. You know that.
Wow.
I'll second.
Was that Supervisor Wickman?
Yes. And Supervisor Miller.
Thank you.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the Potawatomi County's Treasurer's semi-annual report for July to December. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Lee.
Yep, thank you.
Next up, Garfield Coleman, Director of Safety and Risk Management, and Jasmine Elmore, Director of Human Resources, discussion and or decision on legal representation for Hopkins and Hubner PC for consultation on reviewing and drafting Potawatomi County Employee Handbook policies and procedures. Jasmine.
So Potawatomi County's employee handbook has not been comprehensively updated since 2009. Multiple prior efforts to revise the handbook have involved committees and iterative review, but have not resulted in like the final adoption of the actual policies. So that leaves the county with outdated policies that present legal employee relations and operational risk. And so the county's objective should really be clear, and have a modern, legally compliant, employee handbook that protects employees and the organization. And so that I will, that's what the
Yep, and that's when I reached out with Hopkins and Humner. So I'm asking the board to approve, have Hopkins and Humner look at our policies and give us some recommendations on consultation of getting them updated.
We've talked about this several times in the last month.
Jasmine, have you had a chance to review the scope of services that were detailed that Garfield handed out to us last week?
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of confusing what the scope is actually. And the way that our script and our documents, last week when I discussed it, I was specifically calling out procedures as being something we actually have to draft in-house.
Correct.
We can't have outside people telling us how we're going to do the work.
Correct.
So we have what Garfield's recommendation is that we hire the law firm to only review our existing policies and to identify those that need to be updated or revised for legal and whatever reasons.
Correct.
And that there was a cap of $15,000 to do that.
Correct.
Do you think there's a better way?
At this point, probably not. Normally HR would be very involved in the process and would take this on, but because it's taken this amount of time, I believe, like I said, it presents the operational and compliance risk, and we have to get it done.
So it's our entire employee handbook that will be subject to review. But there are some policies within our employee handbook, for example, how claims are paid for employee reimbursement.
Correct.
So they would still be reviewing all of those as well, even though there wasn't any.
So there are some things within our handbook that aren't necessarily policies. And again, that presents another challenge and difficulty. There are some things that are normally considered benefits, and there are things that are normally considered procedures. And that those things also should be removed from the policy. And we take over that part of the process and we handle the procedural in-house.
I think that's the biggest piece in the years past. They threw everything in this handbook and they call it policies and procedures. So when I talked to Jasmine and even when I talked to Hopkins and Human, they said those should be separated. And here we got them combined together. So part of this process is take away the things that should not be in the manual and put the things that's in the procedures on that side of the house. So I think the review from Hopkins and Human and with Jasmine, HR director, we can get that separated. So we are in line until where we should be as a county. So.
And do we have an approximate timeline from the law firm on how long that initial review will take?
When I talked to Brent, he said it depends on how detailed, how much work that has to go into the policy. So after the initial review, if the board approves that, myself and Jasmine and whoever else wants to be part of that conversation, Brent said he's willing to come down to the county and have a one-on-one conversation. And then we can identify how long it will take to do that. So he said, if we give him a deadline, he will work until, to that deadline. But if we give him a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, it's based off of the review of the material.
What's your recommendation for timeline?
I think we needed to discuss with Brent as well to get an idea of what we're really looking at, because our handbook is huge and it's extremely long. And like I said, there are things that are not in there that should be, and there are things that are in there that need to be removed. So I think we need to get a better idea about that after we consult more with Brent.
Right. And I think that'll give Brent, I say Brent, but Hopkins Human is how many attorneys that he will put on this task.
if we have a large number or if we have a small number, and if we say, hey, we need this done in 30 days, he might give 2 or 3 different attorneys to help get this product to the county, so.
Well, our county attorney and assistant have both said we need this review,
Correct.
and I'm in favor of it.
Now, you're talking about the handbook that's 260 some pages long.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Correct.
We need to narrow that down.
We do, absolutely.
Yeah, did you read that, Jeff?
At one
I had- I still had one.
You know, I think it's something that we really need to do. I think we could have started this a little bit sooner. However, I think we rock on and move forward with it. And it's a not to exceed number. And I think putting a timeline on the review doesn't help us at all.
I agree.
I mean, they need to.
Thoroughly review it.
Right, and if it takes 2, 3, 4 months, it takes 2 or 3, 4 months. If you look at the success of our policy committee, not to put anything down, but we haven't had half a dozen policies come through this board since I've been on it. And that's 8 years. So I'll move that, Brian.
I got some more discussion.
Absolutely.
This is a big ask and it's just an inquiry, but you've only been here for a couple months. Is
Correct.
this a task that you would rather do in-house on your own?
Normally I would, but because of the length of time that has passed since the policies have been updated, I think that's where it presents the challenge. And that's why, initially when it was brought to me, I think that's why I support this action. You know, you can't operate a policy or operate a county where the policies are not updated and don't protect the county or the individuals who are working for the county. And so that's why it's so important to get this done now. And to speak to Susan's point, having a timeline is also very helpful. You know, whether it takes, 2 months or 4 months or however long that is, we want to make sure that we know that it's not going to be a 2-year deal. Otherwise, we're back in the same place where we need to be. So we have to have some parameters. And I think we can set those after we discuss with Hopkins and Huebner, identifying a project manager, and then, having HR determining the guiding approach, establishing the clear ownership and responsibility at each level, which also is the approval level. And we want to prevent the rework and the prior unsustainable processes that stalled the previous projects initially. So we want to continue to keep moving this forward and get it done as best we can and as fast as we can to make sure that we're also being compliant. So that involves work with the department heads, the elected officials, and the committee members who we decide will be a part of that project.
Okay, and not to put anybody on the block, but Mr. Wilbur, you're on board with this?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with what Tim said. It's just, us trying to fix these policies piecemeal, that system hasn't worked. I mean, in an ideal world, we would just get together, we'd probably scrap everything, we'd put everything together ourselves, we'd separate it by policies, procedures, and guidance, and we would get that done. But I mean, the history has not been effective, and so at a certain point, you just have to say the current system's not working, and it's more important that we get a workable product in a timely fashion.
You're welcome.
I want to clarify something with you, Jasmine.
Sure.
When I mentioned the timeframe, I was talking about the board giving him a timeframe to get it done.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think it's fair to ask him, how long do you think this will take?
Correct. Yes.
But I don't think it's fair for this board to say, you got to have this done in 2 months. That doesn't do anything for us.
Exactly. And that's why we have the collaboration back and forth with him.
Okay.
We have the discussion.
Well, and the timeline helps us also internally to understand, okay, these will be coming back the 1st of March, the 1st of April. We need to be
Yeah.
ready to
align.
go. Right.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to see a revised scope of services.
Okay.
Just,
Are you asking this to be pushed back then?
I made a motion to move forward with paying $15,000 for the review of our policy handbook by Hopkins and Huebner.
Well, hold on, we're still doing discussion, right?
Yep.
Can I just ask, are you
Go
gonna put forward?
Somebody needs to second the motion that Tim.
We weren't done with discussion before
Tim-
Tim did that.
We usually take a motion and a second, and then we have more discussion.
Do you want to revise the motion?
It was Tim's motion.
I don't want to vote on a motion if there's going to be an opposing motion is what I'm asking.
Well, you don't get that choice. When there's a motion on the table, if it gets seconded, you get a choice to vote yes or no.
Right, but the motion was given before discussion was over. I still had questions for two of the stakeholders.
You can ask questions until the time to vote comes up. When the second is made, doesn't mean all kinds of conversations cease.
Okay, so before I make a vote, I do have a question of Susan. Are you going to make an opposing?
Do I have a second on my motion?
I'll second.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, so the motion, recite your motion for me.
My motion is to move forward with the review of our policy and our employee handbook with Hopkins and Hubner for the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Okay, so it doesn't include drafting the employee handbook policies or handbook procedures, not to exceed 15. Okay.
Well, I think that if you listen to what Mr. Coleman said, that we have a employee handbook that has policies and procedures in it, he's gonna look at the whole thing and focus on the policy. We can handle the procedures.
That's part of the review. Remove the procedures and the policy to separate those two. And that's the part of the review and draft. And so if it's a procedure, if the board does not want him to touch procedures, he does not touch procedures. And that's the communication between myself, Jasmine, and Hopkins and the human to separate that. Right now, we have everything combined together. So that's part of this project.
And I agree with what you just told me. I just wanted to make sure that we had it right because the script that we are looking at, the motion reads differently. So I just wanted to make sure that Tim's motion was for the right scope of services that we've been talking about and not including the procedures.
Does it include drafting? Because reviewing.
Okay, let me amend it to say, reviewing, drafting the Potawatomi County Employee Handbook Policies and Procedures. How's that?
Then I wouldn't vote for that.
Well, you'll come back with their recommendations, right? I mean, that's what we're gonna be getting, not just a rewritten handbook, but their recommendations that we can move forward with however we, wanna take this on. Is that what I'm understanding? Or are they gonna rewrite the handbook and then we say yes or no?
That's an added cost. That's outside the scope of the 15,000.
Okay, I'm guessing you're gonna be coming back with their recommendations, and that's what we'll be hearing the next time, right?
That is correct.
After they take our 50.
That is correct.
I mean, that's what I assumed was gonna happen.
So may I ask Susan, what are you looking for it to say? Because the scope of work is what we as a county gives to Brent to do. I say Brent, Hopkins and Humner.
Which isn't
So-
finalized yet. That's what I asked, if you were, or I was expecting to see a revised scope of services from what you gave to us last week to be more fine-tuned and more correctly written to explain the full scope.
I think that the issue is that there requires some payment before they can review that to be able to give us a better scope of work. Is that accurate?
We have policies and we have procedures all clumped together, right? That goes out, gets separated, right? So what Hopkins and Huber is gonna look at and say, hey, this is a procedure, this is a policy. These should not be part of the review part. This is part of the up to $15,000 to review and make sure that we separate that. And once we separate those, part of this project, everything that's on the procedure gets pushed to the side. Everything that's on the policy, that's what we tell Hopkins and Human to push forward with. But we can't go forward to do all that until we get approval from the board to start the work.
If I may, Garfield, there was an email you passed out last week to all of the board
Right, where he
what
says
you're saying, going back to
he writes it
November,
broadly
Right.
because
Right,
of
but he
that.
also said there would be a second contract required if there would need to be additional drafting and so forth. So I think that's maybe where Supervisor Miller is trying to get some clarification.
Well, I think that email said, yeah, pull it up, because the comment came up about just reviewing and, we gotta put it in here. That email said something about reviewing and revising your current policies, right? If he goes there and he has to redraft the whole policy, that's what we're paying him for, is what he said he would have to come back with a different contract on that email.
If the cost exceeds $15.
If the cost exceed,
It exceeds.
right.
The scope of work that you handed out to us says that Hopkins and Hubner will work with Potawatomi County HR Director or Policy Committee members to, one, establish a date time for the project kickoff, verify the content to be addressed during the cross-referencing task, and who knows what a cross-referencing task is, set timelines for the policy/procedure implementation collaboration sessions. So the review isn't even been talked about yet. And then the final bullet is review and as necessary, optimize internal/external layers of review related to content approval, such as legal or union. And I'm not seeing in the scope of work here that we clearly have identified what Tim's expectations are, what your expectations are, and what Garfield's are. I think I would just like to see a very nice, clean, easy scope of work so that it would match with what the motion is.
Okay.
So that we all know what we're going to get at the end of our $15,000.
Would it be beneficial, as Jeff suggested, to have Hopkins and Hubner, have them review the handbook and the policies, and we bring that back to the board depending on, because that's gonna give him the scope of work. I think what the issue is, he won't even review it without some sort of payment first from the board.
Right.
Yes.
Susan, can I chime in just real quick? I haven't seen the scope of work letter, but I have seen some of the emails back.
Yeah.
I think some of the problem, or probably some of your heartburn over this is, if we sort of have what we know, what we don't know, what we don't know, we don't know. And I think what he's saying is, he doesn't know what he doesn't know at this point. So he gave a pretty broad scope of work.
Right.
So he could answer those questions. And so I think the initial review will be to figure out what he knows and what he doesn't know.
Correct.
And then if we end up having to have a substantial draft, I mean, if I knew I was walking into a 262-page handbook rewrite myself as an attorney, you'd be getting a heck of a lot bigger than 15 grand, right? So I think I can't speak for Brent because like I said, I haven't seen his letter or this, but just knowing him, I'm guessing he says, I want to take a look at this document, the handbook, figure out what it looks like, so we get our hands around it. And then if it looks like it's going to be more than 15, then he will come back to the board before he spends over that amount.
There's two efforts here, to divide the process and procedures of the handbook, and then take a look at what we need to revise in the one part of that. Is that what I'm looking at? Okay, so let's move forward with separating all of this out, and then just take a second look at what we need to do to revise our handbook. Okay, for policies. I'm just guessing that that's what, so if, at the end of his work, if we still get credit on $15,000, okay, go to town on the handbook, it's on the division itself. I just talking out loud here. I mean, that's where I'm at.
Which should give us I'm hoping this is what it's, so he's going to give us, I believe, a cost breakdown once he does actually review before we spend up to the 15. And then at that point, we can say, yes or no, go ahead with this process and revise this or do what's needed within that process. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. So we will come
Okay,
back
that
to the board with
explanation
secondary.
answers a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to the board a second time after we've had the meeting with Brent and he's done his review.
So what we're asking for the board is to give us the go-ahead to hire Brent. No, do not exceed 15,000. We would come up with all the detailed plans, probably a draft. We'll figure out the whole process and the throughput of it and come back to the board and say, hey, this is what we got and this is our estimated review time for do all the work that we hired Brent to do to go forward.
I have one final question.
Sure.
I've been here for 12 days. What was the genesis of all this? Who came up with this idea?
Well, the genesis of this came up was we've had some numerous claims within the county. And I'm not gonna go into details of the claims, and not just with Hopkins Human Law Firm, but a couple other law firms that represent our insurance company, ICAP. Told us that it was hard for them to defend us based off of these policies and what they was looking at on some personnel issues. So that comment was given to me by multiple law firms, and as the Director of Risk Management, I have to come to the board and say, hey, look, this is what's being told me by the attorneys. Either you write a small check or you write no check, right? And so when they look at these policies, they go back to our insurance company and say, hey, look, I can't defend the county based off of these here, what's inside of these policies. So that's why I'm here in front of the board now and saying, hey, we have to do something to right the ship. And if we don't, then we're just gonna keep writing bigger checks. And I don't think that's what the taxpayers want us to do.
Oh, and we want an employee handbook that, well, yes, protects the county, but also provides the guidance and the support that our employees need as well.
Sure.
Right, and that's.
It's needed. It's critical. It is.
That helps. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good,
I know you
Yes, sir.
spent a lot of time on it.
good.
Good.
Got a motion by Wickman and a second by Jorgensen to move ahead with this review of our policy handbook. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the explanation and the discussion.
I do know Brent, I was on the phone with Brent yesterday about another situation, and he said he's gonna be within the Potawatomi County area next week, so I will plan on linking him up with Jasmine.
Okay,
So he has some other business here in the county that he's dealing with.
keep us informed, please.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay. Next up, Mitch Kai, Chief Financial Officer, discussion and or decision on general obligation capital bond. This has to do,
Yeah, this is for the Motorola project. So what I'm gonna hand back out is a memo that I gave to you guys about a month ago. We discussed it in study session. Thanks, Mitch. I don't have a copy because I want an extra one. And I also have basically just a kind of a one pager that basically summarizes that memo. Kind of hits the kind of the key points on why I think we should pursue the bonding.
thank you.
Basically, trying to ask the board for a decision today on how much we should bond for so we can move forward with our bond council and start getting all of the required publications and public hearings and all that stuff to move forward. The big reason is by pushing for the bond, county is able to spread those costs over time rather than paying for them at once. It helps us maintain healthy cash balances and ensures we continue to fund other essential services at the time. Importantly, this bond can be paid within our existing capital fund. We do not anticipate increasing the debt levy or passing any of the costs on the taxpayers by financing this. Another one, the interest rates on the bond should be roughly around 4%. The county's current bonds are just 3% on the investment interest is. So that really means our only carrying cost is, less than 1% on this. I'm recommending the $7 million bond because it strikes a good balance between the 16 million that was needed and the cash we have on hand. And then the other important factor is at the state level, property tax reform is a priority. And the current legislation, we don't know what changes they're gonna make to county finances. Bonding gives us that flexibility and time to adjust operations if needed, rather than forcing short-term decisions.
I was just gonna ask you about that. So, yeah, I've been reading in the paper.
Yeah.
Looking at tax, property tax.
Right.
Control.
And even with the property tax reform, we don't even know how that would affect, even what our bonding potential and requirements would be in the future. So trying to move this forward and get this done so we're safe, we have flexibility, and doesn't put extra pressure on boards later down the road. Just have a median, like, I think the most important point is, we're not going to raise the debt levy to fund this, right? This is cash we have instead of paying it, because we're going to pay 3/4 of that 16 million within the next 2-3 months. So instead of that, bump it out to a 10-year bond, make it callable after 7.
I like the idea of having options. I support your 7 million. So that's what.
Mitch, on the right-hand side, total interest over 10 years, is that a net figure? Because you said we're making money on the cash on hand.
That's not the net figure. That would be the total figure.
So the net figure would be actually a lot lower.
Yeah.
As long as interest rates hold.
Yeah, they will. About 25% of that's about 400,000.
Thank you.
Well, as I mentioned before, that I firmly believe that we have the cash to pay for it. I have identified the areas where the cash is. If we took 10 million out of our general reserve, which we already did, and 6 million out of our capital fund pays for the project in whole, still leaves us with over 2 million of a cash balance in our general reserve, gaming at 3.8 or 3.9 million and climbing, and a land fund worth 4.3 million. To borrow money, pay an interest when we don't need to, I can't support. However, I'm only one. The reason we've got the cash reserve in the general fund, primarily because of departments putting budgets together with anticipated staff and not being able to hire that staff. So then the money goes into the general reserve fund. One-time money. Once you spend it, it's not in the budget anymore. And this is a project, I believe, that is one-time funding. We have the funds to take care of it. This board and previous boards have worked extremely hard to make sure all of our assets are fully functioning, up to date. Fire code safety, added a new public health building, renovated this building, renovated the B wing, added secondary shops. This county doesn't need any more buildings. And I think just whether you plan to pay for borrowed money out of your general fund balance, it's still a liability to the taxpayers of this county. And I believe we have the funds to cover it. And I think borrowing money, when we've already identified that our cash reserves were too high, way too high, that we need to spend them down, there's no sense to borrow the money at all, in my opinion.
Other comments, questions?
Well, Tim, I always appreciate your budget concerns, and you always, you know what our budget is. You always have been an excellent person to keep on top of this, but I'm just going by the advice of Mitch at this point. He's the guy that's overseeing our budget processes, and so I am in this instance I'll take his recommendation. So that's where we're at.
The only thing I would add, Jeff, for your consideration is, we know our cash balance is too high. We know that for a fact. Borrowing money and putting it in the cash reserves and then paying it off over a period of time, if you're worried about what the state is gonna do, they would look at the cash balance of all the counties across the state and say, God, guys, how'd you end up with so much money in your savings account? And we say, beats me. We just never really spent it. Well, now we're telling you that you use that revenue and spend it down. So if we spend it down on operations, if we're required to spend it down and have to spend it on operations, where else are we gonna spend it? We don't have a capital project worth 10 million. We have to spend it on operations, the everyday operations of this county. So once you do that and you spend your savings account to run this county, when you don't have a savings account, what do you gotta do? You gotta raise taxes. Who wants to do that? I don't. I just think we're moving, I'm not gonna say anymore. We're moving in the wrong direction, in my opinion.
Everything Tim says is absolutely dead on. The flip side is this, if we can factor money at basically 0.5%, that's probably unwise for the county people that we represent not to do. And you keep talking about operations, there's another side of that too. We could give Andy another, let's say, $2 million to accelerate his road fund. Everybody I've talked to says, I want better roads, I want more roads, I want more blacktop. So aside from operations, we could take that excess money and put it into capital projects, one of which would be roads. And he's smiling right now because he wants another $2 million for roads. And that's just an example.
Well, I would just counter that, Keith, and say, we're not in this business to make money. We provide a service. And we shouldn't have that much money and say, gosh, man, let's make sure we keep it. We can really earn some interest. We shouldn't have taxed the taxpayers for that money. Now I want to give it back.
You're right, but my counterpoint is twofold. We're stewards of that money. And if we can multiply that money at only 0.5%, I think that's pretty good business sense. Secondly, everybody that I talk to wants better, more roads. And if we can spend that money on roads, I'm all for it.
We, as a board, have done a number of things that we've agreed that in the future boards will benefit from. And hopefully lower taxes as more tax bases out there. Then you lower the levy and things are better. We talk about growing this county, keeping young people. And that's always been a big thing when I was in the city, and now in the county. Everybody wants to grow and Pot County is stagnant. And as we have Douglas County and Sarpy County next door that are growing exponentially, we need to invest in some things. And I'm a big fan of doing what you're thinking. We've talked about a lot of the things we've done. The future boards, it's really gonna help. More people are looking at Pot County. I think COVID really done a number on the big cities. People want to have a little more room to breathe. And Pot County's the place. This is the place. It's our time to grow a little bit.
Well, I appreciate the time that Mitch put into evaluating the different scenarios and the amount of time that he has studied this. And I will make a motion to approve moving forward with the general capital bond in the amount of $6 million.
Seems fair, yeah.
I'll second that.
Keith, one last point,
Yes, sir.
and it's counter to yours.
However, there is a motion on the floor.
That doesn't matter.
We can
Still
discuss.
Okay,
We can still discuss.
You just can't make another one.
got it. So,
Your point where you say, gosh, we can use that money and earn some interest. One vote of the legislature says, County, you got too much money, use 5 million of that and get your budget down. Where's your interest then?
right, but nothing that you said is wrong. I'm just taking a small divergence.
I understand that, and I'm just explaining to you that what that divergence could cost us.
Not if we, let's say, put that money into roads. We would just be accelerating our capital projects.
Which in turn,
Brings more to Pot County.
growing Pot County. It's in a lot of meetings.
You're right.
How
We
to
need
grow
to,
Pot County.
we need to spend down the funds. We need to do it the right way. I don't think you can go wrong when it comes to blacktopping more roads.
As a county, I don't think we'd have any trouble spending down money. That's me. I mean, if we got too much money, we certainly got places to put it. But again, Mitch's proposal here gives us a little leeway, gives us options for what we currently don't know.
Exactly.
And that's where I'm at.
Are you more comfortable with 6 as opposed to 7?
I wouldn't approve anything over 100,000. That's just where I'm at. I really wouldn't. And, when it comes to the roads, the people that live corporate limits of a city pay virtually nothing for our secondary roads. And that's where this money is. In the general fund, not in the rural side.
Right.
People that live outside the corporate limits of a city pay for the roads. Cities don't.
We do not incur any interest until we do borrow, which we can't just do without discussion here, correct?
Say that again.
We're up to 6 million. Not borrowing any yet.
No, this would start the clock. I think the timeline would be probably getting funds in April-ish would be a time frame, but we do need to make sure we get it into our budget for the what we're setting right now, the funds coming in and what funds we need to go back out.
The funds are callable too, or the bonds are callable
That
too.
I'm gonna make, yeah, that's kind of the requirement I'm gonna make of the bond.
So if
Taking a 10-year bond, callable after 7.
after 7, okay.
Yep.
Okay, got a motion by Miller and a second by Jorgensen to approve up to 6 million in bonding.
Do a roll call on that for me, Brian.
Yep, please.
Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Jorgensen,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman.
Nay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, committee appointments, Jeff.
Oh,
Last week.
let's see, last week. Well, I was at the roads
Appreciation.
fourth quarter employee recognition meet and greet. I appreciate that, Andy. I appreciate what you're doing for our roads employees. Thank you very much. Also, I was at the budget study sessions last Thursday. It's that time of year. I get it aching back at the end of these days, so that's where I'm at. Thank you.
I also went to the appreciation meeting, and I do appreciate all that you guys do, and thank you for staying. We also went to the Board of Health, and that was canceled because of poor attendance.
Oh, yeah. Employee recognition out of the Rock. I went to Mike Geyer's retirement party from Schneider. Let's see, on the Board of Health. And then there was a Tim and I worked on some interviews for board members for conservation. And Tim, I failed to get it on this week's deals.
That's okay, I want to talk to you about it.
All right, cool. Susan?
I went out to the Rock for their employee anniversary recognition for the budget study session. And on Friday, I got called into a Motorola kickoff meeting for the project at 12:59 for a meeting that started at 1 o'clock. And what I feel is the sales team for Motorola dropped it off to the project team, and there was lack of communication back to the county. So I'm hoping that they do a better job of leading this project going forward based on the commitments that we've made financially to this project. So I will stay closely involved with the Motorola project team to make sure there aren't any surprises. One thing that caused me a little concern is when we were talking about the tower on top of the courthouse and the amount of equipment that needs to be placed on it. Now there's a concern that maybe the tower needs to be updated. And it's like, well, why didn't Motorola research that at the beginning? So that was disappointing, but we will get more facts to go along with that.
Okay, Tim? Okay. Thank you. Okay, public comments.
Yes, Shauna Anderson and Lisa. Oh, thank you.
You state your name and address.
Lisa Lima, 1000 South Main Street, here in Council Bluffs. I just have a small ask. I hope it's small anyway. I'm a mom and I've always, kind of tried to do things within my budget, but like things, and I'm sure there's other families, Mount Crescent's not within my budget to go do. And I remember after there was the purchase with the ARPA funds, which was for all people, we mentioned that it would be affordable for families. I just wonder if we couldn't do like passes like we do for like the zoo and everything at the library for people to check out. People are able to go to Putnam Forest, they're able to go to our conservation parks. But we haven't made anything available for Mount Crescent. I remember years ago, if you were a homeschool family, you could go during the month of February. I think it was like $20 or something, which was more affordable for families that homeschooled. But we have such a high population of families that could never afford to go to Mount Crescent, but our own people would be our best advertisement and word of mouth if we want to become more of a tourist area. So I just suggest we make some passes available.
Lisa, we do have a thing where it's 25% off for Pot County residents.
I don't know, is that
I'm
a
just
website?
throwing that out there.
Because I don't know where I find that information.
Right
on the
at
website?
Crescent Ski Hills.
Okay. All right, but I'm just saying, it would be lovely if there was like passes for families and stuff. So people are able to go do things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna?
Anderson, 19377 340th Street in Oakland. I would like to invite you all to come hang out with concerned citizens of Potawatomi County. Tim, don't give me that look, you want to so bad. And Invisible Iowa Local Crow to a town hall we are hosting at on Saturday, January 31st. In Oakland at the Oakland Community Center. We'll be starting at 10 a.m. Fellowship beforehand at about 9:30, just catch up with your neighbors. But our topic is from fields to faucets. We are going to have some healthcare experts, some people from the Farm Bureau, and some folks in water quality and water conservation come kind of have that conversation together, like what is going on with possible runoff, how are we getting some of these high nitrates and so on and so forth in our soil and our water in the state of Iowa. What can we do about it? What can we start testing and, those sorts of things. We will have a small amount of water quality test kits available. Sorry, I'm so confusing for some of the attendees. And hopefully we can kind of learn a little bit because I think we're all pretty aware, you know, it was interesting hearing about the radon today too as well. But we're all aware of our rising cancer rates in Iowa. So we're trying to start a little discussion to see, what we might be able to look at when it comes to our water and our farm fields. So if you guys would like, I have flyers.
Yes.
Thank you, Sean.
It's one event. It's the two of us teaming up together.
Thank you.
I feel those sneaky eyes. You have to go. Of course.
Okay, next up, we have some closed sessions. I need a motion to go into closed session according to Iowa Code 21.5, parent 1, parent C, for discussion and or decision on pending or potential litigation. Let's take a moment.
You want to vote on that?
Wait, Brian?
Yeah. I just got the left.
We
Get a motion?
we have a motion, we need a second.
Miller.
Who done it first?
Jeff.
Oh, did you? Okay, perfect.
We do a roll call?
Chairman Shay,
Aye.
Supervisor Miller,
Aye.
Supervisor Jones,
Aye.
Supervisor